Give it a few more minutes and then we'll go ahead and get started here. It's right at 2 o'clock, I believe. So, yeah, just a few more minutes and we'll get started. If some of you out there and you're joining, if you're watching it, there's a chat feature in YouTube that you're more welcome. You can go in there. I think it's going to prompt you to create a channel. But you can go in there and enter a channel and enter your name and stuff. And any questions you have, you can put it in the chat. And I'm going to try to be monitoring it over here if anybody has anything to say. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. First off, I want to say thank you for coming here and watching this. I know yesterday we had some of the training videos yesterday on this, and I thought today we'd kind of do it over again. And for anybody who missed it or anything like that, but kind of what I want to go over with you today is just kind of the Mosyle app that we've got. Every iPad's got that installed on it now. We've switched over from Jamp to our new MDM, which is Mosyle. Mosyle's got a lot of great features, kind of like the old Lightspeed Relay that we had back several years ago, where you could manage your Chromebooks and stuff like that. It works kind of the same way. You can, watch the student iPads, block certain apps, and only allow certain websites and stuff like that on them. Kind of the way it's going to be set up today, I'm going to kind of go over. You're going to have a dual monitor type setup here. I'm going to have an iPad for a teacher on my left hand side, and on my right hand side, I'm going to have the students' iPad, and kind of show you the difference and how they interact with each other. And as a teacher, if you make one change on one iPad, how it'll affect the students and everything else. But we'll kind of jump on in. I'm going to pull up the teacher first and kind of go over it a little bit and show you a few things with them. When you have your teacher iPad, you'll notice that there'll be a Mosyle School app. It's right down here on the side. Let's open that up, and usually when they open up, you're going to start in a self-service, or in the top left-hand corner, if I click the down arrow, you're going to see a self-service and a class manager. Under self-service is where you're going to kind of find all your apps. This is going to work for the student iPads too. This is where they'll get any kind of apps that are needed to be downloaded in the district, or anything that we approve of or a teacher needs. That's where they'll come. So there won't be any kids having to sign in, take up space, and this and that on their iPads and installing games and stuff. This year it'll just be any educational apps that you the teacher approve. So as you see, we can come through here and we can find the different apps. Some of these are what teachers have already requested from yesterday's stream, but this is where they'll be at. So if anytime you see any kind of app you need or anything like that, you can come here and get it. Super simple. For instance, here's Google Slides. I'm going to go ahead and download that, and just to give you a demonstration, if I click it, you'll notice the command's been sent to the device. And if I back out and hit the home button here, in just about 30-45 seconds, you'll know that Google Slides will start downloading automatically. While that's doing that, I'm going to go back in the Mosyle app, and I'm going to kind of go over one more thing over here on the left-hand side, the My Profiles tab. Under the My Profiles tab, you're going to notice, there's some new stuff there, web clips now. But a lot of past few years, we've had issues with the UCSD Apple Wi-Fi getting lost or not connecting or anything like that on your device, the profile. So now I've added that in there. So if you ever come by and you have a device that's not able to connect or anything like that, you can come into the self-service app, click on My Profiles, and actually reinstall that UCSD Apple Wi-Fi Hopefully this will eliminate some downtime if your device disconnected and stuff like that. Let's hit the home button and see if our slides. So yeah, now I go back to the home button. If you'll notice in the bottom right hand corner, the Google Slides app is installing now. So super simple to get apps now that you want. And anytime, the good thing is if you have a student or you accidentally remove that app, well, they can always go back into the app store and re-download that app with no problem. Kind of the next thing I'm going to go over is under the class management tab. This is where you'll manage a lot of your classes that you have. Mine's going to look a little different from yours. I've got, as I'm set up as an admin of the school, I see all the classes that's in there. The way this kind of works is as it's synced over with SAM. So anytime there's a class and stuff like that's been updated or kids get put into your classes, all that information and data pulls from SAM's that comes into Mosyle. But for test purposes, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my student device here. So for test purposes, I've got Chloe Gerard's iPad here, and we're going to sign into one of her classes. We're going to use Miss Faulkner, I believe. So over here, like I said, I have to manually search for her class because technically I'm not her teacher. So let's do this. We're going to have to do 7. And you shouldn't have to search for yours. You'll be able to see them there. All right, so as you see, once I'm here, you should have a list of all your classes. But to open her class, I'm going to click the 4-6 computer science class. And as I click this is kind of where the main screen is for everything that you're going to use to manage your class. I'm going to go over the left-hand side here in a minute, those tabs over there. But for the most part in the center, I want you to look at for the class duration, this kind of goes back to, it's very important to make sure you start and stop your classes. Several years ago, we'd have issues with kids that would come into your classroom and the teachers would manage their Chromebooks and say they would lock their browsers to where all they could get to is one website. Well, the teacher might have forgotten to stop their class. Well, when that student got their Chromebook and went to the next class, well, they were still blocked and locked into certain websites and they couldn't access anything else. So that student would have to get up and go back to the teacher and ask them to stop their class. So very important. Make sure you start your classes and stop your classes doing this. But at the very bottom, you'll notice the other big thing to take away from this is the absence of the absent students. If you ever have a kid that's out sick or anything like that, you always want to go in there and mark them absent. You'd hate, especially this is good for 9th through 12th grade. You would hate for a kid to be at home sick, maybe doing some homework, working on their iPad, and you forgot to mark that kid absent, and you start your class, and say, for instance, you locked all the other kids' iPads into one app. Well, that one kid at home's iPad is going to get locked if it's got a Wi-Fi connection. It's going to get locked into that one app just as he's sitting in your classroom. So always think of that. But for testing purposes, we're going to use Chloe's device. She's already here, and all these other students have not logged into a device yet, so that's why they're showing a tablet with the line through it on the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go ahead and start my class. And it's just going to give me a notification, hey, we noticed 31 students is not logged into a device, and that's fine. We have one over here. So we're going to go ahead and start the class. So what that's going to do is once all your kids are in there and they're actually assigned to the device, you'll be able to see them here in the status menu. And you'll be able to see right here, I've got Chloe's iPad here. It shows she's in, she's checked in. A little information about it. It kind of shows you their asset tag and the asset tag of the device and the OS, which is the operating system, like if it's updated or not. It shows she's running 17.5. This is always good if you got an app that requires it to be certain iOS or above. You can always take a quick peek and see. But going over on the left-hand side, I'm going to go through some of these tabs. The first tab, you have a class feed. This class feed will be really good of wanting to send a message to all your students in your class. So if you've got something, an important website or something like that you want to share with them, well, you can come in there and copy that URL and paste it in there, and it'll go to all their iPads. And I'll kind of give you a demonstration here. I'm going to sit here and type good afternoon, and I'm going to hit send. is what that does is that's going to send that message to all your kids' iPad or your students in there. In a way for them to always double check if it don't pop up on the student iPad. I'm going to go over here to the Mosyle School app, and then I'm going to click on class feed at the top left, and then of course I'm going to click on my class, and as you see, there's my message that I just sent, good afternoon. So like I said, this is very important if you want to get something out to them pretty quick, or just check on them, or send a website link or something like that. Going down the tab on the teacher iPad, I'm going to go over study apps. So is what study apps is it kind of lets you lock not really lock an iPad into apps, but it takes all the other apps away off of that iPad. So as you see on my student device, I have all these other iPads. I have apps. I have Clever, DRC, my Gmail, my music, just other kind of stuff. So if I wanted to lock this iPad to where, say, if I'm a math teacher and I want to give them just access to the calculator, I don't want them to have Safari or anything like that, well, I can add that app into this list, toggle that on switch, and it's going to delete or remove all of those apps from that. So just for testing purposes and show you, I've went in here and I've added Freeform app and Notes. But if I wanted to add another app, I could click on the bottom, the Add Applications list. I could scroll over here and find the app that I want. The first thing it's going to take you to is native apps, and this is all of Apple's predefined apps. That's when you buy a new iPad or an iPhone, this is what the apps that come on it. If there's a certain app in the App Store that you wanted to put and lock them into that, you would click on at the very top where it says native apps, click that down arrow, and click on the apps by Union County School District. And here's all the apps that the school district has purchased or renewed a volume license for. So if, for instance, I'm a math teacher and I wanted to lock them into that Calculator 84 app, well, I could download that Calculate 84 app, and it would lock them into that. But for testing purposes, we're just going to use Freeform and Notes. So that's all I want to do. And I'm going to toggle that on switch on my teacher device. And here in about 30 to 45 seconds, you'll notice my student device, all my icons on my iPad will disappear, and that's all I'll have access to. Like I said, this is real useful if you're a math teacher or certain apps, or maybe if you just want them to have a little free time in their day, but you don't want them playing games or getting on Safari or anything like that. So as you see now on my student iPad, those apps have went away, and now it's just kind of the predefined apps that you've added. You'll notice there's two apps on there now. It's called the Mastery Connect and YouTube app. Those are set by the district that we've put in there so they can use or have, but the only way, there's not really an app for Mastery Connect, so we've had to make it a web link. But the good thing is if I come in here and I try to open that app, I can't open that app, even with YouTube. Even though that app's on there, I can't open that YouTube app. But I can open up my Notes app, and I can come in here and type notes or anything else. Once I'm done with that, if I want to toggle that off, I'll come back on my teacher device, toggle that on and off switch back to the off position, and in about 30 to 45 seconds, you'll notice my apps will come back onto my iPad, on my student iPad. While we're letting that, there you go, pop on there. While I'm going to do that, the next one I'm going to go over is called Study Sites. Now, this is websites. You can predefine websites in here. One is going to add them to the Mosyle School app under that student device. So if I click here as a student and I scroll down to My Web Clips, well, it's going to put that URL down there. Do you see at the bottom where it says Computer Science? That's the apps that are predefined, or excuse me, the websites that I put into my study sites on my teacher device. And I can add as many as I want to. One of the things I was telling everybody to be a little careful about is that this will do will block any other websites if they try to get into. So these are the only websites that they have access to on this device. So just be cautious when you toggle that on and you put websites in there. They can't get to anything else. It's all what they can get to. And it kind of goes down to that other tab down there, Safe Test. You have to be careful when you put, I'm just trying to say, for instance, if you put a website in there that has links on that website that goes to different websites. So I've found a website that's got a bunch of neat videos, but then when I click on the video, it takes me to YouTube. Well, YouTube's going to be blocked because it's not in that defined study site. So they won't be able to access that website. So kind of keep that in mind when you're using that feature. The next one is called Heads Up. Is what this is like a chalkboard kind of. You can type any message that you want to. You can click inside of here, and you can type any message you want to on this chalkboard. Let's just type look up. All right, so what I'm gonna do is come down here, and if I do apply heads up, here in about a few seconds. Oh, yep. Well, it just happened. Remove that. Come back into it. So heads up. Like I said, take it a few seconds, and is what that's going to do is that's going to lock that iPad with that screen, that display screen. I might have to exit out of my app. There it goes. All right, took about 30 seconds. So now it's locked in. I can't get out. I can't move. That's really good if you've got students who, you just kind of don't want them playing games or anything like that in your classroom. You can lock their device, so to say, and they can't exit out. I'm going to toggle that off. All right, and as you see, now my screen's released. And one of the other things I try to tell them that just because this come back, if you've got to wait for about a few seconds, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, to know your iPad is fully unlocked, you'll see the dock pop up on my student iPad at the very bottom. Once you see that dock that's popped up down there at the bottom, you know that the iPad's back and they can hit the home button and they can finally get out of the stuff they're in. Oh, there it goes. So you see it just popped up down at the very bottom. The next tab I'm going to go over is called Safe Test. This is kind of the same way as the study sites, but the Safe Test is going to actually lock that device into one website. So say for instance, I just wanted to have my kids go to just a certain website. Well, I'm going to say I'm going to put in, just for testing purposes, our district website, and I'm going to do apply safe test. And it's going to take it a few seconds to kick in, and once it does, it's going to pull up my student iPad and it's going to lock me into that website. And that goes back to kind of the same thing with the study sites. You don't want to lock a kid into a website that's got videos or anything like that, because it'll have to, if there's any other links into that website to pull from, it's not going to be able to go to them. As you see now, I think it's trying to click over. There it goes. Like I said, it takes a little bit because this has to, once you make the command, it has to go to the internet, go to the servers, download, and then come to this iPad. So it's going to take around 20 to 30 seconds for this to happen. But as you see now on my student device, I'm locked into the website that I put on there, and I can't go anywhere else. All right, so now I'm going to disable Safe Test. It's going to take a few seconds, and you'll have to notice that it'll release it, and then once it's fully released, you'll notice the dock will pop back up below the home button, or above the home button at the very bottom of the screen. While that's doing that, I'm going to go over the next tab called App Lock. App Lock works the same way as kind of Safe Test, but it locks the iPad into one app. Here again, you can browse. You can find the app you want. If you've got you just want your kids to get into just the calculator app or whatever you want to do, you can click on Find App. And I can scroll down here and find a certain app that I want them to get into. I can change from the native to the Union County School District apps, and here are the ones that we've purchased. But again, for testing purposes, I'm just going to use Freeform. And now I'm going to say Apply App Lock. And you'll notice on my student device, it'll kick in. It'll take about 30 seconds or so, and you'll notice that it's going to lock me into that app. While I'm locked in that app, I can't exit out. I can't close out. That's all I have access to is that Freeform app. Like I said, this would be real good if you have a calculator or whatever kind of app you want, or if there's certain, if you just want them just to be able to browse the internet, well, you can lock them into Safari or Chrome or something like that if you want to. The other thing is, I was waiting on that to kick in to kind of show you it, but there it goes. Once it's here and it's locked in, and I can't exit out of the app. I can't do anything. All I can do is, well, pretty much draw is all I can do. Now I want to disable app lock. Take a few minutes, it'll release my iPad. Once the dock pops up again at the bottom, I know it's fully released. Now I can, on my student iPad, I can hit the home button and exit out. The other tab on the teacher side is called Quick Poll. This will be a good way to interact with your kids, or make sure, I guess, if they're on paying attention or anything like that, however you want to use it. But one of the things you can do is you can ask a question and it'll get sent to all your student iPads, and you can see who answers. So like yesterday, one of the questions, let's just see, how's the weather? As what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it a short answer, or you can come over here and give it a multiple choice if you wanted to and be more grainier. But I'm going to say apply quick poll. And is what that's going to do is here in just a few seconds, you'll notice that my iPad will pull up inside the Mosyle app, and it's going to come up and ask and say that question that is sent. So I've asked, I said, how's the weather? And I'm going to say, as her, I'm going to say hot and do send response. So now I can come back on my teacher device and I can sit there and refresh and see who's answered the poll. And I can see now that Chloe Elizabeth Gerard said it was hot. After I'm finished, I can hit finish poll, and that's going to release it to go back. One of the other things after that, I can click on the teacher side. I can do view history, and I can come over and see all the questions I've asked my kids. And the first one, how's the weather? And then there I can get a quick response of who all answered and who hasn't. The next one is just settings, where you can come in there and change the nickname of your class. You can have another teacher help you teach your class. And at the next one is called request apps. This is where I was telling a lot of our teachers yesterday. If you, two ways to submit an app. You can, email it to us, send us a picture or something like that of the app you want, or this is where I would ask for you to go and get it, is to request it. From here, you can request it. We get an email or a like a link or something in our Mosyle app on the admin side that asks which one you want it to download, and that way we're getting the right app for you. But to request an app, I can come in here and I click search the app store, and here I'm going to search for an app. I think Huddle was one of them that was already asked for and I've installed, but I can do Huddle. It's going to search the app store, and all I would do is select it, hit the green check at the top, and then I would hit save. And what that's going to do is it's going to submit it for us to approve and get it. Once again, once it's approved, it'll be in the self-service apps. Just like over here on the student device, this is where it'll populate and show up. That's a real basic rundown of everything of how the Mosyle School app works. I am done with my class, so I'm going to remember to go in here at the bottom left and click End Now. And so now I'm done. Few things to take away. A lot of this, the prepare the app for classroom, hide apps not listed in my study apps. You can go ahead, and if you've already had apps that are predefined here that you want in there, before you start your class, you can actually go in there and start it, and those kids all automatically have access to just those apps. So you can kind of predefine that instead of, like I did a while ago, start my class, toggle that on, toggle it off. Well, I can come in here and say, well, I know for sure I want that iPad to have just my apps for my class. And then I can start my class. And then as you see, if I was a student and I come on into my class, that my apps will already be locked in and ready. So as you see now, my student device is already kicking them out. And there it is. I've already got my apps, what I want them to do and have access to. Now if I end my class, they should automatically go away in about 30 seconds or so. If there's any questions or anything like that, feel free to email me, text me, let me know, or you can put it in the chat down there. And if there's any other questions besides anything else, I'll be more than glad to answer those while I'm here. I'm going to hang out for a little bit longer and go from there. Again, thank y'all for joining, and have a good day. I don't think there's any more questions, anything like that. So we're going to end this stream.